Oh no, it must be the
It
other
must
way
be the
around.
other way around.
Right drunk, edit
edit
sober.
sober.
Just stupid bravado. I don't know what I was thinking. It's like a devil, right? Once it sits on your back, it doesn't leave.
I'll tell you what are the two ways: 30 ml and 60 ml.
So finally, I went back to the director and said, this is a problem. I can't finish your film in time. How much trust is enough?
Enough trust.
Yeah, enough trust.
I love how this episode is coming one full circle and how philosophical also it's becoming.
Yeah, I know. You're asking such questions now. What can I say?
Welcome to Creative Talkative with Ketki Tiwari.
If you don't want to miss these interesting stories about real people and their journeys, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. So I know you're born to a film family, and therefore there was this pressure of getting into films, and you were a child actor.
My brother and I, my brother actually Joy,
Okay.
and we both actually fumbled into this acting thing purely because my father was a filmmaker, and grandfather and Shyam Babu had set up. So the first film we did was Trikal. I did Susman right after that, which was the movie that I got nominated for. Which was with Shabana and Om Puri. And then after that, I did another TV show with him. But acting was, it was something we did for fun, but I was really more obsessed with music from a very young age. And my parents were very against, even though we came from a film family, they didn't want us to be in film.
They didn't?
No.
Oh, okay.
Because they were very clear that, you should do your studies, as a good Maharashtrian family is always. पहिले अभ्यास करा आणि शिका बरोबर आणि मग जे काय करायचं तुम्हाला वाह्यातपणा ते नंतर करू शकता.
So what was your first sort of interaction with music? Did your parents, apart from Abhyas, did they also?
Music actually happened because of my grandfather. And my grandfather heard me sing, and one day and he just said, put him in a singing class. So I did a few years of, reluctantly started doing music, and at that age, no child likes to learn anything which is especially classical music.
Yeah.
It's the last thing you want to learn. So the last few years were very reluctantly I went, but I went through it. And I can't thank my mother especially, because she used to literally, drag me to make sure that I went and sat through those classes, and I did it. But now my daughters are studying with the same institute, GRL Vasanji, Suresh Warkar's institute, and they've just started learning. And it's the best foundation as a musician you can ask for, to have a classical background. So I'm very grateful for that. So music came to me very early, when I was around 8 or 9. And then it continued, and then around, I think, 11 or 12, my voice broke.
Correct.
As it does in, when you hit puberty. And then I was searching for a couple of years I was, listening to a lot of music, but couldn't find my expression. And then I stumbled upon, when I was turned 15 or 16, I just picked up a guitar, and then that was basically.
So that I want to hear, how you got obsessed with the guitar.
Accident again, the guitar thing was probably, I have to thank Lucky Ali for that, because the Trikal movie that I did, we used to call him Maksoom in those days. He was in the film, and he would be sitting around, and we were shooting the film in Goa. So he would be sitting around and playing guitar. So I would just, just hover around him and, just kind of just watch him. And so I just said, this is great, what a cool look this is, just sitting and playing guitar. So, and as a child, you're so innocent, you don't really think about,
and there is something very cool about guys who play the guitar.
It is. So I kind of got exposed to this sort of environment very early in my age.
You're taking everything in, no?
Exactly.
Because you're like a piece of sponge at that time.
So that was probably also, so I think everything is like iterative, it kind of stacks up, and it's never like this one moment. So when I guess when I was looking for an expression, I just said, let me try this thing. I told my dad, let me just go and get a guitar. So I got a 500 rupee guitar from a music shop and practiced the out of it for 1 year. Started basically I was playing it day and night. I wouldn't let it go. And then one day, one of my father's friends came over and he saw me. So I said, you go and tell him that I want to get an electric guitar because he'll listen to you, you know. So he just told my dad, he said, like, hey, get him a guitar. He's very talented. So I told him that I'm going to go and get my own guitar. And this is how it is. And all this money that I had saved singing and, you know, acting, I'm going to blow it all up on this one instrument. And so he flew me to Singapore alone.
Are you serious?
I said, I can't get it in India in those days. So he said, what do you want to do? So I said, I'm going to fly myself to Singapore and I'll go and buy it over there. I know exactly what I want. I know which shop to get it in. I know everything.
Wow.
So he said, okay, I'll put you on a flight. And I went to one of those tours and went and bought my instrument.
Wow.
And
talk about supportive parents. What else could you have asked for? So your band Chakraview that you started in college, that happened in Jai Hind?
That was right after that, in Jai Hind.
Yeah. Okay, all right. And that's when you met Ashutosh also?
I met Ashu at the end of my college actually. So I had this band Chakraview which we played all over India and we had a phenomenal run with that band. We played some incredible music, very sort of edgy and progressive music, which got me a lot of I think it was like my training ground because getting up on stage and playing to large audiences and getting a lot of accolades and affirmations from people, it does boost your confidence. And from day one, the difference between what we did and what any other band was doing in those days was we didn't play any covers. We only played our own music.
But there's one thing playing inside a room, and then when you went on stage for the first time, you didn't have any kind of stage fear?
Of course you did. I think the first 5 years, you're frightened at every given
But you're also young, so you're not so...
I think, you're frightened, but I think it was probably, we just had this insane sense of bravado as a kid, which you don't give it.
Which is what I'm saying, you're young, so you're okay being stupid also.
Exactly,
so,
exactly. And also we were doing our own music, which... For some reason, there is nothing to lose in that because there is no standard to which you are being judged to.
Correct.
So this is completely new. You made this yourself. So people were or probably still are, much more forgiving when you are creating your own music. I think my journey with composing also probably started.
Which was my next question, that you shifted your focus to music production.
Actually, no. I had a small stint in between that when I actually gave up music for like 6 months. So I basically finished college and my parents said, Abhi bas, ye sab music ho gaya, good. It's very good, well done. Now get down to business. So I did that, but I didn't want to work with him. So I was very clear about that because if I'm going to do it, then I'll work outside. So I wanted to work with in advertising, but maybe work with another production house. So I worked with Robert J. Production, Johnny Pinto's company. I was with him. I worked as an intern over there. Had one of the worst experiences because I really got a sense of what it is like to work in the real world, which is work as a production assistant. But there was a silver lining to that, which is I learned to manage my life for the first time, as you do when you work in any structured organization.
Correct.
So then that meant waking up at 5 in the morning, going and loading trunks and, showing up at shoots first thing, keeping a log of all the things, all the props, all that stuff. So all the stuff that a production assistant does. And I did that for about 6 months. And I think, but at that point, my music, the bug was so, it was like, it's like a devil, right? Once it sits on your back, it doesn't leave.
Right.
So I gave an ultimatum to my parents. I said, give me 1 year. And in that 1 year, I'll try and create something of myself in music. And if I don't, then I will go back.
Do whatever you ask me to do.
So again, just stupid bravado. I don't know what I was thinking. I did that, and I just looked at the skies and said, "Now, heaven help me! I don't know what I'm going to do." And then a bunch of happy accidents happened. I met Ashu at while we were in 2 different bands at a talk show, like a TV talk show, and that's how I kind of met him and started working together. He had kind of set up a small studio in his garage actually, where we used to work before.
Okay.
And we did a lot of work there. We did 2 movies, did Bombay Boys there,
You
we
did
did
Bombay Boys.
Tamanna over
Okay.
there in this really small garage. And we had all the great musicians come through that,
Wow.
from Sultan Khan Sahab to, so Shankar, of course, when, we were all starting our careers at that time. So again, we were very young, and we were hungry, and we were just foolish, and we had no sort of regulation or structure in which to work. We would work 7 days a week,
Correct.
say yes to anything that came through the door.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, it was a time of basically we were learning how to really make the sandwich, so to speak. So it was an incredible time because A, we had nothing to lose, and B, the fact that we had nothing to lose, therefore we could make up things as we went along. So if somebody asked us, do you know how to do this? We would say, yeah, of course we know how to do this. Yeah, we studied classical music, and he studied Hindustani classical music, and yes, of course, we know we can make any kind of music. So if I remember, I think there was also the same time when, like, Prasoon Pandey had just joined Highlight.
Okay.
And Highlight was in those days a big production house which had a lot of fantastic directors, Abhinay, and so we did a lot of work with amazing directors. We did good work, so we were not doing like the bottom of the rung work. We were doing high quality work, and because we were working with fantastic directors, I got to learn a lot. In those days, even Piyush, he was a creative director in those days, and he would show up at recordings, because he would have written the script for a jingle, so he would be around, and just being around all these incredible,
you just learn so much.
You learn a lot. So very lucky to have actually been around in that time.
Let's take it back. Let's hit it right now.
I read somewhere that you guys had scored music for more than 2,500 commercials. I'm sure you guys lost track.
Easily, yeah.
But you all worked on every possible client that one could think of, right? From your Tata to your Reliance to your Absolute Vodka to your Pepsi and Pidilite, of course, and Unilever.
Yeah.
So at that time, it must have felt like, okay, now we've finally arrived. And was that the feeling you got? Or
I don't think we ever felt that, honestly. I don't think you're allowed to feel that when you're doing advertising. There's no sense of arrival, actually.
And things are moving so fast that you're just going from one project to another, in a sense, right?
I think you sense that when the phone is continuously ringing. So we were lucky again because we never said, so in those days we never said no, first of all, to anything that anybody called. We would just say yes.
So you guys also did a lot of music videos for Kailash Kher and for Shamak Dawar, and so that was very different from the advertising work. So the creative process of both, you kind of just learnt as you went along, or you kind of just knew that this is the...
After we finished Bombay Boys, we started getting a lot of the same kind of films. So, the Bombay Boys was the first type of film, which is this English film, which had this kind of very cool and quirky, tone to it. Then we kind of didn't want to do more of that. So we landed up kind of doing other things. So we did this project for Abu Jani Sandeep Khosla, which was a fashion show.
Okay.
We had this kind of, I would say, entrepreneurial spirit to us. So we would make lemonade out of lemon. So if somebody came to us for a background score, we did a movie called White Noise, for example. They came to us with a background score, but we wrote 5 songs for the films, free of cost.
Wow.
And we told the producer that, look, we won't charge you for the songs, but let us use the film as a promotional vehicle for us to shoot our own music videos to promote these songs, because we want to own the IP for those songs, for example.
Wow, okay.
So those are decisions that we took at that time and just went along with it, just to kind of experiment. And when you own your own music, it allows you the opportunity to do that.
Usually creative people don't have that business sense.
We had some fantastic ideas quite ahead of its time, and Genesis of Blue Frog is actually that. So we really both wanted to also create a sense of community. So there was a little bit of that as well. We wanted to improve, the rights for musicians in India. So we wanted to set up a structure where all the composers have rights, because a lot of times in India, especially even and to date, you give away your rights for your music. So we wanted to create a level playing field like it is in the West.
When you started Blue Frog, were you very clear that you wanted to also set up a music venue? And when you found the 6,000 square feet space, you didn't only set up a music venue. It was also a club, and you also started, I mean, it had, recording studios next to it, and you also started a music label and a production company. So was this something that was planned in that way?
So we imagined that we would form a company where it would be like a collective, and different composers would come and work within that, share and pool resources, work together. But then it didn't work out. We couldn't take it forward. So then when we finally decided to formalize the structure, we went and raised money in Singapore, and we did it. And the first blueprint for Blue Frog was basically a music company, which was 4 recording studios and 2 recording studios, or 2 or 3, I can't remember now.
Okay.
And a music label, and also composers, a music production house. So that was like the genesis of it. And then we just kind of had this wild idea of why not set up a nightclub.
Wow. That became like a regular with us because, and especially with not only advertising, but I think everybody, and which is why we were so heartbroken when it shut down. Why did Blue Frog shut down? Was it because you guys got very ambitious with
I think
doing
good question.
Too many things?
Yeah, I think fundamentally it was quite different from where we started the company, where what our initial vision for the company was really for being, the core was around the music. And as you know, it's basically an F&B play. We had a phenomenal run, 9 years, for any
But you hosted more than 5,000 different gigs of
and
various Indian and international artists.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. You have any one like really memorable gig that you...
Many. I think the early days were, the warmest memories were the early days. Zakir Bhai's show, the way where that happened was actually quite beautiful and magical.
Correct.
The first show we did, where it happened right after Allah Rakha's Barsi.
Wow.
Bella Fleck and Zakir Bhai came to this club and he said, the Barsi is happening, why don't we do something at your club, at Blue Frog? So I said, the stage is yours, let us know when. So he said, I don't want to do a thing, it's a private thing, just for you guys, we'll just do a few friends, we'll call a few friends, we'll hang out and we'll play for a small crowd. And I don't know how the word spread, we are not responsible for it, we literally told, just our staff knew, and the next thing you know, there was a line of some 800 people standing outside the line, which went all the way down.
संगीत में ऐसा जादू लाने के लिए घंटों रियाज करते हैं उस्ताद जाकिर हुसैन।
उस्ताद वाह,
हुजूर वाह ताज बोलिए।
You started Wawa Music in which year?
So I started Wawa in around 2012. So I bought this place and I moved here basically and created this space.
Did you have equally filmy names to pick from?
No, Wawa, for some reason I always thought that was a cool name, and because Wawa is also Hindi mein Wawa hi karna.
Of course.
And so Wawa is a guitar pedal.
Oh, is it? I didn't know that.
So Jimi Hendrix made it famous. It's a guitar pedal.
Oh,
and it
see, there you go. Good, I asked you that question.
So that had a cool sort of ring to it. So that's how I landed at that name.
It pretty much became the hub where you guys did music across genres, right? Film, OTT, TV networks, and you were obviously doing your advertising. When you would get a brief, say for advertising, and you're also parallelly doing a film, and you're also doing a TV network, did you always have a bank, we've created this music?
No, it doesn't work like that. I know a lot of composers have banks, and I mean, there are songs that I have, there are hundreds of songs that I have, but I mean, what I really do, my specialization is what you would call bespoke composition, which is, something, to create something unique that's for a specific client or specific purpose only. With songs, it does work.
It does. I know a lot of
with songs, it
artists
works.
who do that. Right?
Yeah, but with musical ideas that are created for specific things, a lot of times you'll create an idea with a lyric in mind that's been written by the agency or by the client. Then the music and the lyric becomes like one. So you can't separate them two. If you remove a hook, for example, from a piece of music, then it doesn't stay the same. Film is it's basically psychology, really, and advertising is basically like surgery. You have to go into the secondage of each film. Theatre, I've done a few theatre productions recently, you know, Mumbai Star, which we did for Japan. It's basically large-scale choreography. So you are literally, you know, creating music for choreography. And independent music, I would say, is like a confession. Basically, it's your inner, it's your internal voice.
Right. I specifically want to speak about the Nike Parallel Journeys, for which you won the Cannes Line, the D&AD and the Clio. And personally, I have always loved the ad, and honestly, I didn't know that you had composed music for it. Yeah.
That film came to me finished. It was edited, and you know, I also had a long history of working with Abhinay. He's an incredible collaborator to work with, because you know, he creates this environment where you can really experiment a lot, and really for advertising that's really important, because you don't want to go in with a very fixed idea of what you're going to do. So Abhinay, because he has a very good and astute understanding of music, he leaned a lot, you know, he had a lot to do with it. So I did, I think, 1 or 2 different tracks for that film. Basically we went through a couple of tracks, and then we said, let's try something, let's start from scratch. And that's when we decided to create something which is completely unconventional and using, let's say, only body sounds, for example. If we were to keep it really earthy and have non-musical sounds. So that was kind of the genesis of the idea. So that's when we got in Tawfiq Qureshi to come in, and basically Tawfiq and I built this track within 1 day, within 8 hours. He came in with his crew, and we built this fantastic piece of music.
Wow.
And you know, it all happened very quickly. We had spent 4 days experimenting, and then we spent 5 hours just creating
because
this.
That was going to be my next question. You've done so much advertising work, so the deadline monster is always sitting on your head. No? It's
it is. I mean, that's part of the that's just part of the job. I think deadlines basically force you to commit to an idea and execute it.
Do deadlines scare you, or they make you more creative, you think?
Not anymore. I used to be scared. Now you
know.
No, you also, some people don't work well with deadlines. Some people, you know, work well. I thrive in deadlines, actually.
One of the things that I've read that, you know, you've said is that we haven't been able to present our incredibly beautiful, you know, and varied Indian folk music the way people have done abroad. So did you create Voyage with that intention in your mind?
Yes and no. It was also very early days in my own original musical voice.
Okay.
I was also kind of finding myself and what I really wanted to say. So I was very heavily influenced by the music that I had studied, which is jazz and, you know, fusion. And I wanted to find a middle ground between that and all the music that I was working on, like, you know, in a more commercial level. So generally speaking, when you try and usually marry those two kinds of music, which is like folk music and jazz, you have to be a little careful, because you know, so
fusion confusion na ho jayega.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it was an amazing thing for me, because a lot of those ideas actually came from me without touching any instrument. So it's literally like I was like a DJ. So I was listening to African music a lot in those days. I still do, but I had just newly discovered all this West African music from Mali and, you know, North Africa. And because I was also influenced by a lot of Indian folk music, thanks to Kalpana Patovari, who I worked with also. So I kind of started, like, you know, putting in my head, sort of playing chess with these ideas. So what if you marry this with this? How will it sound? So that's how the genesis of the idea really was. And I looked out for, you know, many of these artists. I work with them. Recorded with them, and then that's basically how that album was born. It was born out of sort of exploring and trying to find different voices from, you know,
it's beautiful. And personally, I always believe as a creative person that the most creative work, if you can find it at the intersection of disciplines and then crack it in a way that you did with Voyage.
So because also it didn't have any, there was no commercial sort of an angle to it at all. It was pure experimentation. I was doing it for myself, it was my own project. So, there were no deadlines. So the other thing with not having deadlines is it can take damn long.
It can take very long.
You can never, and I know, many of my friends are guilty of this, and I used to be too. You put it away, finish it next year, and it just doesn't happen.
Correct.
So eventually you have to put a deadline.
So you produced 3 songs for Coke Studio season 4.
Yes, I think it was.
And how was your experience with Coke Studio?
It was great. Again, it was an insane deadline. Aditya Swami, who was heading Coke Studio, he was heading MTV. MTV was doing the Coke Studio. He had heard like a pre-release of Voyage. I went and met him, and he said, "Listen, we're doing Coke Studio, but I have like 1 week because some Bollywood composer has dropped out. But I have a shoot lined up next week in 10 days or something like that.
Okay.
Can you write 3 songs and can we shoot it in 10 days?" So I'm
That's
sitting in his
where your
office.
Superpower of
Basically,
working well with deadlines
exactly
comes handy.
Yeah. So I didn't even argue with him. I said, "How dare you?" Or how can you say give me 10 days write 3 songs? Because when you want to do a project like Coke Studio, you want to have infinite time and you want to think about it. Not. I just smiled at him and said, "Yeah, sure." Then I panicked as soon as I left his office, and then went back, came to the studio, and I made some calls. And luckily I had one song which I had not finished with Ilaji, which had got left out for some reason out of Voyage. I don't know why, which became Nimoli.
Oh wow!
And then Kalpana song we composed on the in that week, and then the third one which I sang Arab with Salim. Master Salim, that also we composed within 2-3 days.
Wow. I'm suddenly thinking that for this episode, what we should have done is not only had this conversation like the way we are having, but we should have followed like one project with you. It would have been so interesting too, because, as I'm talking to you, I'm just getting so intrigued by, what is the process. So when you got a brief and then you come back, we should have actually done that entire process with you.
But because watching when you're making music, it's a very boring, unglamorous. It's like watching paint dry.
I'm sure you've been asked this a million times, but how do you handle a creative block?
I think there's no good way to do it. Honestly, there are 2 ways to do it, but I don't have a fixed answer.
I'll tell you what are the 2 ways: 30 ml and 60 ml.
I actually went through this very recently, about 3 years back, where I had the first serious creative block I've had in my life.
Okay.
Where I've had 2. One was during a film that I was doing, a movie called Drona. Decided to. It was my first film, so I decided to do the whole film by myself, like produce it and arrange it and program it and write everything and do it like a stupid, ambitiously. I did that, and I finished 60 minutes of the film, the score of the film. And I just completely blanked out. I couldn't write a note of music. Because I was working 7 days a week, and about 25 days, I blanked out. So I would come for the next 5 days to the studio every day for 8 hours and just stare at a blank screen. So finally, I went back to the director and said, this is a problem. I can't finish your film in time, and I don't know what to do. And he just smiled at me and said, "Why the hell are you doing it alone? Who asked you to do this alone?" So I said, "Isn't that what everybody does?" They do. She said, "No, you put a team together and you produce it. That's how you do it." I said, "The way you do all your other work." So that's one way of doing it, collaboration, and you work with people who are better than you and who are experts in their thing, and then you become a conductor, and that takes a lot of stress off your plate.
Okay.
If you can afford to do that for large projects, great. Now, the second one is when you don't have a project in mind, when you're writing music for yourself or you're creating a piece of anything for yourself. The only way is to get out of the geography, to get out the geography that you're in.
The distance, basically.
Yeah. So the more distance you put, and that can sometimes take like a month or 2. So it took me 3 months.
You were chosen by the Gov of India to score the world's largest 3D mapped installation show, Gandhi Yatra, on the life of Mahatma Gandhi in Gandhinagar.
Yes.
It was called Gandhi Yatra,
Yes.
right? That must have been something very different from what you
Very
usually
different.
do. Correct?
It's very different. I think the medium was different. Process was similar to doing a small feature film, but it was a great project. It came to me thanks to Senthil Kumar, who I've also had, who worked on the Nike film as well. We were going to create a seamless 25-minute piece of music which had songs sort of stitched together, which told you the story of the life of Mahatma Gandhi. That was in essence what and the film finished at the end with various voices, world leaders talking about Gandhi.
Okay.
So we finished all the music and then we got to the end and we had to kind of create these voices. So there's Nelson Mandela and Albert Einstein, Barack Obama. And this is pre-AI days. So it's 2018, 17. So we went around the world and cast, voice actors,
Wow,
and
how
we
interesting.
created these. Yeah, it was very cool. It was great fun actually. And we scored this entire thing and again in a very short amount of time. It's 30 days to finish the whole thing, but amazing. And then we went and watched it.
So the first project that I want to talk about is the FEVICOL one, to celebrate 60 years of their bond with India. FEVICOL did this sofa commercial, which everybody knows, and it's an outstanding ad. But you did the music for it, and I think the music has kind of outlived the ad.
The best ideas always win, I feel, in FEVICOL because it goes directly for it. There's a purity of the idea which is there, and they do respect music and film itself a lot. I've seen the way they talk about it. I've been around how they discuss it. So as it happens sometimes on a film like that, you land up doing like multiple tracks. The client or Prasoon, I can't remember who, felt that it needs a piece of music which is going to be like a song and not just a background score. Then Prasoon said, I've written this lyric. The lyric is actually what helped me kind of break through that thing, because sometimes and as it happens, and you're a creative person yourself, you create something and you're absolutely in love with it. It's very hard to let go of that. So you need something that is incredibly powerful and strong to kind of help you, which kind of can break that spell of that first idea.
Right.
So usually you'll start with creating some kind of a bed. So what I will usually do is create a bed like this and then just improvise and come up with an idea, like a lyrical idea for the song. This has almost like for me it's very meditative, and it has like a like a folkloric vibe to it. Jaise gaon mein sutradar hote hain na, they go from village to village telling stories. So like that was the idea, because FEVICOL had this history of 60 years. We wanted to create a folkloric quality to the music where it feels like an old man is telling a story of a very old Rishi Muni who used to live 100. Now you will hear my terrible voice before Divya Kumar song. So I'll sing a version of the.
That's you.
Yeah, that's my voice.
That's your voice.
Yeah.
Wow. It's not terrible at all.
It's very high, yeah.
So the second one that I want to talk about is your work for the film Blink.
Yes.
For the British photographer
Jimmy Nelson.
Jimmy
yes.
Nelson, yes.
Yeah.
And that became one of your most awarded. It won more than 50 international awards.
Yeah.
Am I right? And it was also featured at Paris. Sorry, Kutliti Zaga, I'll never be able to pronounce it. Even though I'm
so Jimmy used the music for his show. He did a very beautiful show, which was an installation show, where we used that music to showcase all his work. So for Jimmy's film, he had stitched together these beautiful, all his life work really, of all the places that he had been to all over the world. So it was literally it was a cross-planetary sort of journey of this man's work. For me, the idea of the music when I saw the edit was to create a cohesive piece of work and not create a disjointed piece of work, because the film is already disjointed. So that's why I wanted to do something which has got a more broad stroke. So it has this very, very cinematic opening. There were so many cuts. I thought it would be a wasted opportunity not to design those cuts in some way, So we found a tempo that works. Fortunately, the film was edited really well. It was edited to a tempo, one tempo. So it makes a big difference, when all the ducks are aligned from the very beginning. So and what I mean by that is the editor also, I think Priyank was the editor for this film. He is very savvy with music, and so because there was a very clear tempo, there's a grid in which I can sort of jump on and base my idea. Just there, basically in the music.
Wow.
So basically this is like your bass track, but already you're getting a sense of what the tempo is, and it's giving you a very clear idea. So basically there are these flag posts which are already there.
So Voyage 2, let's talk about that. That released last year.
Yeah, the Voyage is a interesting project because it is really my understanding of how I can fuse all this music that because I listen to a lot of music and a lot of different music. Sometimes it's a bit schizophrenic.
So two things about Voyage 2 that I want to talk about. One is that you also explored a few new things like devotional hymns, Marathi folk.
Yes.
And then of course you collaborated with Ilaji to create some soulful Rajasthani folk, right? It was Grammy submitted album this year. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And the second thing is that it was also very special because it had only women. So you celebrated women because it had all women vocalists.
Yes.
I know that Ilaji is your mother-in-law. How is it working with Ilaji? On a lighter note, does she rag you when you're working with her?
Not at all. Actually, I had a professional relationship with Ilaji before
she
I got
became
married
mom-in-law.
to Ishitta. So I had produced a few songs on her album back in early 2000s. Ashu and I had worked on it. Our relationship has always been professional, oddly. So that has preceded my, this other relationship. So working with Ilaji is actually very easy because she conducts herself with so much of, she's very relaxed. First of all, if you've met her, how she makes light of everything. She's always joking. And
correct.
So it's very easy, and she doesn't interfere at all.
Wow,
in your, so she has a very clear way of working. She comes in and she present an idea for a song, and usually when she'll sing it, that's like the first take is usually what lands up being
the final,
close to final. And at the very end of when I finish producing the song, she might hear it and say, let me redo, and then she'll do the whole song again, so that's happened a few times. And Charkha also is a song that we had worked on long time back, actually.
Okay.
And then for some reason I didn't release it. I don't know why. Because it sounded, for me, to me it sounded very simple, and it's very very simple, sweet.
Song.
But it's it's like the most loved song in my catalog now.
Yeah.
So
and getting all women, was that intentional or just happened and then you kind of?
That was an accident, actually. I hadn't thought about it like that. But actually, sometimes you'll work with an artist because somebody comes within your radar, and then you hang with them and you meet them. So Vaishali is one of such person because of her association with Ishitta. And actually, it's always irked me कि मी मराठीमध्ये गाणं अजून केलं नाही. And people have asked me a lot of times, why don't you do Marathi songs? का करत नाहीस? And I don't know. I don't have a good answer for it, But for some reason, ते नाही झालं. I don't know why. So I wanted to course correct that a little bit in this album. So I got in touch with Vaishali. I wanted to do something fun with her, not like a very serious thing.
It is a fun song.
Yeah. And so the idea was to do something more fun and dancey. So Voyage 2 is really antidote of Voyage 1, which is more cerebral. I wanted Voyage 2 to be more fun and more like dancey.
Yeah.
So that's kind of it's wanted it to be more groovy and funky.
So now when can we expect Voyage 3?
Again, that's another thing I've been asked a lot. You don't sing enough, you don't sing often. And I started my career as a singer, really. So it's like, for me, it's a full circle now. So
we are going to make you
yes.
sing
Oh God.
and play. Ishitta, who is herself a powerhouse of talent, and She's really wonderful with the work that she's doing. But she also contributes a lot to your work, right?
Yes.
A lot of times the lyrics that are written are hers. How is it working with her?
She's, it's challenging when you work with somebody who knows you so well. So she can be extremely critical, but extremely, she's got phenomenal instincts for music, first of all. So I trust her instincts, and she's got a fantastic command on the language. But she is extremely busy with her other life, her other avatar. So I have to beg and plead, Sashtang Namaskar her to finish the songs.
Your latest Nishaanchi, I really enjoyed the music because I thought it was, blending the UP rustic sort of feel with this very eclectic modern sort of sound. How was working on that, and how was working with Anurag Kashyap like?
So completely different from what I had imagined. Of course, Anurag is actually an incredibly collaborative person, but not in the way you think. So he gives you a lot of freedom, and too much freedom actually.
Okay.
But the thing is that for me, in my mind, I thought Anurag was going to be very involved in the film, and he's with the music, and he's going to be here, and we're going to have, because most of the time when you see a person's work, you build up an image in your mind. He's going to be a certain way. Most of the work that he does is actually in the writing. So he'll spend maybe a couple of years writing a film project. So obviously that has gone through various edits, various iterations,
and evolved,
and evolutions. So by the time it's come to you, it's a lot of the things are already there in place for you. His way of working is, मैंने film story लिखी है, इसको तुम interpret करना, और अभी बताओ कि तुम्हें क्या लगता है यहाँ पे कहाँ पे गाना,
अच्छा,
where do you give me ideas for songs in this. So there was no real cues in the film where there should be a song like this. He didn't give me any references. He just played me a voice.
Okay.
And I heard 10 seconds of it was a voice recording of some jatra in some small village. Village mein jatra hota hai, koi gaa raha hai mic pe. So it was a very rough and rustic kind of a 10 seconds I heard of it. But I immediately understood. I said, I got it. And then also the answer came to me that I would not be able to create this over here. So I booked flights and we went to Banaras to record it. And so this was also a first for me, and an important one because it allowed me to get out of my comfort zone, which is again something we don't do enough, I think, as creative people. Another thing is down south, Tamil, Telugu, in those industries, they're very much like that. They're very respectful to music composers. Directors are almost apologetic when they'll ask you to make a change or
really.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. So it's one of those things again which is very much in their culture, because they come from, because everybody is a musician in the south, right?
Correct.
So I think they also understand music, but it's fine. I think the main thing is not to get stuck on a particular way of working. I have worked with directors who have a very opinionated on music, like they want something very exact and precise. And then your job becomes less of an artist and more of a craftsman. Then your job is to really do the highest possible, refinement of their idea, execute their idea, which is so that day you play that role.
That's what makes this journey so worth it, no?
Yeah, when it works out.
When it works out. But if it doesn't work out, then you learn a lesson that you can't forget, right?
Yeah, as long as it's not too expensive.
That's why I keep telling people that everyone's going to fail in any case, but creativity is the only thing worth failing at, because even if you fall flat, at least it's doing something creative. Do you compose with your fingers or your ears?
I think you start with your ears, and then your fingers are your interns.
Does better music come from negative experiences?
You have to be hungry. I think more than being negative, I think your stomach should not be full.
Your most favorite Indian and international collaboration?
Honestly, I don't think I've done my best work yet.
The one thing that collaborating with musicians from different traditions has taught you?
I think you have to respect the culture, and then the door will open.
The one advice or feedback that you get from Ishitta often?
God. I mean, the one thing she tells me is to make it simpler. I won't argue with that. I hate it when she gives it to me, but I can't argue with that.
What realities of the music industry do you think the young musicians need to know or realize today?
You have to have patience, and you have to be persistent and don't give up.
So, if you had to describe your music with visuals or any colors, would you be able to do it?
Don't be deceived by. I'm always wearing black, but my music is very colorful. That's all I'll say.
That's a lovely answer. If you today saw the young Dhruv sitting in the studio and composing, what about yourself would you be really surprised with?
The sheer stupidity and, and the arrogance at which I was going about my life.
If you could pick one instrument to erase from the world, what would it be?
Erase the cheesy piano that plays in every sad scene.
What's your relationship with silence?
Love it. Absolutely love it. Very important and underrated.
So, was there a phase in your life when you had to redefine what success means? And what does success mean to you today?
So I think success in anything you do is more about being able to have freedom to do really what you want to do and allowing yourself that and taking advantage of that time that you have. Music is vast and there are many mediums and there are many ways to skin the cat, so to speak. You put yourself in challenging situations where you can do different things and you're able to experiment. I think that itself is success. That is, for me, that's success, and because you can't control the outcome. You cannot control the outcome. How much ever you want to, it's not in your hands. Keep doing this all day. At some point, you'll have to stop.
Okay.